Hello again everybody, and welcome to this month's craft kit tutorial. This month we are doing no-sew scarves. So you can pick this craft kit up. You can still pick it up through curbside at the Traverse Area District Library main branch. Just let them know when you come to pick up your materials that you would like a team craft kit, and we will make sure to get that out to you. Alright, in this kit we have two main fabrics. You're going to have your main fabric. This one I have a plaid and a backer fabric. Usually this kit would come with red, but however I have some extra white, so I'm going to use white. And then it has two skinny long strips of fabric as well, a pair of scissors, a ruler, and some little clips. This is to help keep your fabric in place. Only thing you might need from home is just a pen or a Sharpie. I'm using a fine tip Sharpie. I think that works best for this if that's something that you have. So, what we want to do to start is take our two main big pieces of fabric. I'm going to refer to this as our pattern, for obvious reasons, our pattern fabric, and then our solid fabric. You want to take your pattern fabric and put it so that the side you want to see is up. Now with these kind of fleece fabrics, there's not a huge difference between the two sides. You see that more in cotton fabrics, but you can pick the side that you think should go up. I kind of go based off the end. This curls up, which tells me that this is supposed to be the top. So there's that. So I'm going to lay that with my right side down so I can lay my other fabric on top of my white. And same thing, not really a big difference on the fleece, but this curls up, so I'm going to assume this is supposed to be up. And then lay those on top of each other. Now, we are human and it is 2020, so I will not claim that these are going to be perfectly cut. So please use scissors or anything that you would like to help kind of trim up the edges if it bothers you. We did try our best to keep it as straight and even as possible. So we've got our two fabrics laid on top of each other. Now, I am seeing the white fabric is just a little bit longer. Probably one roll was 60 inches and the other was 62 or something like that, which is another one of the many reasons we provide you with some scissors to keep that all nice and tidy for you. Now try your best to line it up as even as you can and take your little clips. There are a dozen of these in here, so hopefully that'll be plenty. And then start lining up and clipping your fabric together like so. This is just to keep it in place while you're working on it and help you kind of get things lined up where you want them to go. And then you could go through and trim and fix as well if that's something that bothers you. Now, this is quite a lot of fabric, so keep that in mind while you're putting your clips in. You've got enough for 6 on each side, so kind of space those out in a way that it will be even for you. Alright, I'm going to continue all the way down that edge. I don't even think I'm really going to need all 6 of them on each side, but we will see where I'm at. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think I'm going to do 5 on each side, at least for now. Alright, so there is side 1, all clipped together. So now I'm going to do the other side. Much more easy to manage now that it's been clipped together. I've definitely got a little bit of uneven, so I will go through and trim that up once we've kind of worked on it a little bit. Again, if you don't mind a little more rustic of a look, it probably won't bother you, but as you probably all know by now, I'm a perfectionist, so I'm going to do it. Alright, so both sides, all clipped and ready to go. Alright, so next thing we need to do is kind of trim off your edges. As you can see on this side, we aren't really even. It is even on this side, so we're also going to trim off the kind of rolled edges just so it looks a little bit cleaner. So just go ahead and take your fabric and kind of cut and even everything out as much as you can. If you want, you could use a ruler to make sure you're doing a straight line, but we are going to put fringe on the edges, so it's not going to be as vital to make sure that's perfectly straight. But there's one edge, and we'll do the other edge. Just kind of cut past. This one I'm going to actually cut, I think, right on that line. Make that easy for me to follow and cut. Alright, there we go. And side two. Alright, now we need our ruler. You can take it out of its little protective coating here. And you want to measure 4 to 6 inches from the end of your fabric. Now this is going to be the length of your fringe at the end, so it just kind of depends on how long you want that fringe to be. I think I'm going to go right in the middle, just for sake of argument, and make it 5. So this is where that pen's going to come into play, of kind of marking the side at 5 inches, and doing the same on the other side, or 4, or 6, or I don't know, if you want a dozen 12-inch fringe. I mean, I don't know how great of an idea that is, but you certainly could. Alright. And then take your 2 sides, your marks there, and draw a line straight across. I would do this pretty light just because you don't need a big giant dark mark on your fabric if you can help it. So do that, and I have a line. Alright, so now what you want to do, I'm going to move these clips kind of right to the start of that because we're going to start cutting our fringe into that side. So I'm going to move my clip to right where that line is, both so that kind of frees up my edges and to kind of give me an idea of where I need to stop. There we go, like so. Alright, so now we take our ruler again, and you want to measure about every 1/2 inch and cut a fringe from the edge to here. Now again, you can be as precise or as not precise as you want with this. I think what I'm going to do is mark the 1/2 inch marks at the end just so I have an idea. And then I'm just going to kind of wing it to the other side. I said you could definitely measure it on both edges and draw lines and do the whole 9 yards, but it's just for the fringe and I don't know that that's really necessary. But do what you would like. This is also does not need to be exact every 1/2 inch. It's just for the decoration at the edge, so it's okay if it's not exactly. Alright, so kind of hard to see. I kind of marked that for you. Alright, now I want to take your fabric and cut on those lines. Try to keep it as square as we can, all the way to the line that we drew. Yeah, see? That clip is actually pretty helpful because it tells me exactly where to stop. Alright, so I'm going to cut these, and then once you've done that side, you want to do the same thing on the other end. Measure to the same distance, somewhere between 4 and 6 inches, and then cut 1/2-inch strips all the way across. So I will cut, and I'll be back when we've done that. Okay, we're back. So I've got both ends all cut and ready to go. Alright, now we need to go back to our ruler again. And you need to measure 1 inch from where your tassels starts and 1 inch from the outer edge. We are marking where we want to make our slits. So, go to my inch side here. So we've got 1 inch and 1 inch. So, there's my first marking there. Now we want to go see what this recommends here. It doesn't have a distance, but I would say, oh, sorry, my ruler. I would say maybe 3 inches apart or so, the whole length of this design. So I'm actually just going to kind of tuck my ruler in those clips. Gives me kind of a good idea of where I need to be. So I'm going to kind of mark 4, 7, 10, the whole length of this. Now watch if it gets a little bit uneven too, that you're keeping some distance from the edge. We just want to make sure that we are doing it. Now at the other end here, my mark actually ended up being a little closer than 1 inch, so I just kind of moved it back a little bit to make sure we weren't getting too close. Okay, so I have one side all marked, if you can see my little itty bitty dots there. And then you need to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and we're back again. Alright, I have both sides marked. Very hard to see on my fabric, but they are marked. Another trick to think about with this is that a ruler is 1 inch wide. So I found it helpful to kind of lay my ruler up against the side to kind of keep that inch from the edge even. Alright, so now that we have all of our markings, we need to cut the slits so that we can weave our ends through. So this is probably the trickiest part of the whole thing. You need to take your dot and find it, and then fold it right along that edge. And then take your scissors and just do a small incision through all the layers of fabric. Probably needs to be a little bit bigger than that. I would say you need to fit your whole finger through. That at least gives you a start so that you can get in and make it a little bit wider. Like so. Now if you need to make sure, we're testing to make sure that the fabric is going to go through there. So you can kind of weave it through. It doesn't have to be completely flat, it's just the idea that we want to be able to get it through. So I think that that will work. Alright, so once again, one of the steps with easy procedure but lots of things to do, you need to cut every single one of those marks the whole length of your scarf. So again, find your mark, fold right along it, make a cut, kind of check to see. I actually think that that's probably a little bit better, so I think I might make this one a little bit wider. You can always go back in with your scissors and widen it out if you need to. So one more time. This one, my clip's kind of in the way, so I'm just going to slide it to the side. But still keep it on so we keep our fabric together. Fold on the dot. And cut. And these are sharp enough scissors that it shouldn't have any issue going through your layers of fabric. Alright, another cut, a lot of cuts, and we'll be back again. Welcome back again, and we're ready to go. We've got all of our cuts down both sides, and now we are ready to start the weaving of the ends. So you want to take your fabric strip here and go from the underneath on the right side and pull that through your hole from the bottom. Now you want to kind of accordion weave that back and forth through the entirety of your side. So down that side, pull it tight, and back up through here. Now I said I did this about 3 inches apart. You definitely could do that closer together or farther apart if you want. It was just my personal preference. In retrospect, I may have put them a little closer together, but I also didn't want to put them too close either, so it's just kind of a trial and error. See what you like. You can look at mine and see if you want yours a little bit closer together. But that's the beauty of homemade items, is they've all got their unique personalities. So continue going up through the top and down through the bottom, and you're getting something that looks like this. My cuts are not perfectly even, as you can probably tell, but that is okay. Come here. Oh, they are even. I just missed some spots. See? Measure twice, cut once. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and weave that through, and then once again I will be back with you. Once you get that all the way through, you want to do the same on the other side. Accordion weave that all the way through, and do the same on the other side, and then we will move on to our final step. You've made it all the way to the end. Alright, so I am woven. Now something that you gotta do while you're doing this is to make sure that you're keeping this from bunching up. If you pull too tight, as you can kind of see, you get some weird bunching, so make sure you're keeping that nice and loose, even if you have to kind of pull and work it through. I actually undid this whole side and kind of pulled it through a little bit at a time just to make it a little flatter. So you literally just kind of pull it and work it through like you would be loosening shoelaces, just to make sure that everything is laying nice and flat and you're good to go. So there we go. And our last step is to tie off. So you've got some of these little ends here. At the first end, with your red or your white, if you're doing the other color of fabric, you need to tie all 3 together. Your pattern, your regular, and your color. So I'm going to try it each one twice to make sure it's really staying. Oh, but keep in mind you have to be careful that you're not bunching up your ends. So you may have to end up working this through a little bit more on your other end. But there's the red. And then you go through each corresponding one. So like these 2 go together and you tie them. I don't know if they're still a thing, but I remember when I was younger we would make tie blankets kind of like this, where you would tie the ends of a blanket. It's the same kind of idea. So you go all the way down the length of your blanket, or not your blanket, I'm sorry, just talking about blankets, your scarf, tying the corresponding sides together. So I'm going to do it twice just for sake of doing it and making it even, but you can start to see it coming together here. So again, 2 corresponding sides, tying the basic knot, and tie again. Now these are very thin strips of fabric, so don't pull too hard on them or you are going to stretch them out a little bit. Not that you have a lot to worry about, but just as a precaution. A couple more here. 1, 2. You can see it coming together there. I guess one thing about 2020 is that we are lucky that we haven't had too bad of a winter yet. So we'll take that as a plus in 2020. Any pluses we can get in 2020 I think are worth celebrating. So now let us know. That's a good plus in 2020. Now hopefully I haven't jinxed it for the rest of the year. Only got a few more days though, so can't be too bad, right? Alright, I'll kind of show you where I'm at. There's the back. There's the front with all your tied edges compared to your not tied edges. So I'm going to finish this up, and then you would want to kind of trim off the red edge here because obviously that's quite a bit longer, and you can kind of even anything out, and then we will be back again. Again, make sure on your ends here that if it's bunching up because of where we tied, that we're working it through on the other side to make sure that this is still going to lay flat. So I will do that. I'm also going to go ahead and trim up any edges. You can kind of see my weight has kind of overlapped. Go ahead and get that all tied and all set, and then if you want to do any trimming or fixing, you can do that after it's all put together. So I will come back to you with the completed project and we will see how it goes. Alright, I decided to come back now. All my ends are tied. Some observations after making this. Cut your strips a little bit narrower rather than thinner. I did find myself a couple times with them being a little too thin and kind of stretching out a little bit, but it did work okay for me. Alright, so we got everything done. You can take all of your clips out since we are all secure now. Alright, and then I'm going to go through and trim up. So, you can see on this edge, got a little overlap. Oops, still got some clips in there. Alright. Now be careful, as someone who has a self-proclaimed too much gene, to not cut too much off. So you want to still make sure you have a little bit cleaner there. Have a scarf left, but feel free to kind of trim up and fix some of those rough edges if you need to, since it is very likely that one side may be a little bit wider or narrower than the other. Also keep in mind what side you plan on keeping in front. I would plan on wearing it with the plaid side out, so I am trimming accordingly so that it looks good from that side. Alright, there we go. You can see the edge looks significantly better now. Look at my other edge here. A little tiny bit right here to trim. Alright, there we go. And there you have it, a cozy blanket almost like scarf for the winter months. Last thing I didn't do yet is trim off. You probably will have some extra on your red ends here because they're a little bit longer than everything else. So trim that off. And that off. And that off. And that one's pretty good actually. I'm going to trim off the little fluffy at the end. Alright, and there you are. Your no-sew scarf. Alright, we do have two variations of the scarf available. We've got this one and white fabric as well. So thank you guys for sticking with me through the whole process. I know it was a lot of steps, but I wanted to make sure I got all of the steps out to you guys. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you come pick up one of our cozy scarf craft kits. Thanks guys, see you next time.